So the word disqualification, I wanted to finish it up. Point 6, a final flaw. Neither unbelievers nor carnal believers can reliably examine themselves to see if they are in the faith or saved. Think about that. A final flaw in this point is to check one's works to see if one is saved. So you say, well, I'm saved, I have to check my works. But if you're not saved, you're not capable of examining yourself reliably. Can an unbeliever objectively view his lifestyle without a godly viewpoint to discern whether or not he is faithful? The godly viewpoint can only be obtained when one has become a born-again believer who has a biblical perspective of divine good works and can now be led by the Holy Spirit. That presumes a lot, that you've been an active Christian in studying the Word and trying to put it to action. So the test to see if one is saved by one's actions is flawed. The carnal mind of the unbeliever is not equipped to make such a judgment. Neither is the mind of a carnal-minded believer. So it has to have a believer in view who's walking by faith, at least in part. So conclusion, nothing highlights the tragedy of today's evangelical church like the degree to which Paul's teachings are distorted into anti-Pauline thought. After all, it was Paul who wrote, "But to him who does not work, but believes on him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is accounted for righteousness." Now, that's Romans 4:5. But today, many theologians respond to this with a yes, but. I talked with a guy just a few days ago. He kept saying, yes, I agree with you, but. Well, you can't say but then. If you say you agree with me, you can't say but. But means I oppose. Now you might say yes, and then enhance what I said or repeat what I said by saying yes, and isn't it wonderful, or something like that. But you can't say yes, but. Yes, but if you don't do works, you're not justified at all. In this way, the Pauline declaration is annulled in favor of a faith/works synthesis, which is contrary to both the Scriptures and to the doctrine of faith expounded in the Reformation by Calvin and Luther. In part, I studied Luther a little bit in seminary, and he's got some things to say and then turns around and takes them away. You know, if you start expounding upon the Bible without keeping a verse in view, you're going to depart, right? I told that guy at a bus, I said, you can listen to somebody's tapes all you want, but how do you know he's following the Scriptures? Unless he's actually reading the verse and then expounding upon it in a logical, understandable way. That's the way you teach the Bible. And you don't go too far beyond your students. Don't expect them to memorize everything you say, especially if it's not biblical. And the guy also said, well, suppose I just have the whole Bible recording and I just listen to it. That won't help you either. You have to read something more than once to get what it's saying and take it a bit at a time and then make your own notes. How many people have 3 or 4 different views on the same, or how many 3 or 4 people have the different view on the same verse? Who was right, who was wrong? You have to listen to each one's argument carefully and see if they depart from it, the correct meaning of the words. And a lot of times all it takes is a careful reading. When you find the guys popping around all over the Bible, you know there's going to be some mistakes made. So it is nothing less than a retreat into theological darkness that made the Reformation necessary in the first place. Although those who advocate such doctrine describe it as orthodox and reformational, in reality it is neither. The evangelical church, which is a horrific failure, will have no message for the world if it allows this false doctrine to prevail, and it has over the years. The rest of these are notes I don't want to go into. They just make it more complicated because the notes go off topic of the Bible. So let's move on to the next topic.